For some reason, bees tend to follow me around. I think it's probably just because I have residual honey all over me all the time. They're such incredible creatures. When you're working with them, you can hear the difference in their buzzings. When they're just floating around doing their thing, it's a very peaceful hum. If you've left their hive exposed too long, you get the kind of warning, we're getting a little tired of this, time to put it back. If you still ignore that, you get the real pissy, put us back kind of buzzing. I really knew very little about honey, about bees, about its benefits to agriculture. It's been a real credit to our supplier that he's been willing to take me under his wing and really teach me about a lot of this stuff. It started at this table. This is the table, this is the kitchen, where the whole company began. I grew up in a family that loved to cook, but never from recipes. It was more about whatever was good in the garden or what we had in the cupboard, and then we would just make something up as we went. Baking doesn't quite work that way. I do get a little off track sometimes and then have to find my way back into the recipe. We're gonna make an oatmeal honey Attard. So I've got some ground oats, all-purpose flour, whole wheat flour. Then we're gonna add some honey, salt, and yeast to this and let it rest for a sec. Honey is great to use in baking because it's a natural mold inhibitor. Typically when I make a homemade loaf of bread, pretty quickly it goes stale. If there's honey in the dough, it gives me another day or two. Kneading dough is really about distributing all the ingredients. If at any point I mess up, it's not time to throw it away. There's plenty of time to go back and add more water, bring it back a couple steps and work it back to the point that you want it to be at. There we go. I think we're pretty good to let it rest. So there's the crust, which is the outside, and the crumb, which is the interior. I prefer a nice, wet, bubbly crumb and a thin, crispy crust. We're ready for the shaping and the final rest, the final countdown. Bread baking's a little bit more solitary than other types of cooking. It's really just single steps at a time and developing one finished product. I don't have any business background. All I know is my love of cooking and my thrill of experimenting in the kitchen, and I think that's the real groundwork of this company. It's been a steep learning curve because there's a lot more to it than that, but where that all begins and ends for me is being a home cook. This is exactly how I like it. Perfect for butter, cheese, anything spreadable. I've had a couple loaves come out a little weird, but I've been pretty proud. I think anytime you make something yourself from scratch, you should always feel proud of it. I love putting honey in bread because it adds such a nice caramelization on the crust here, but it adds such a perfect amount of sweetness in the crumb inside, plus the butter and the honey on top. And the oatmeal and the whole wheat. This is heaven.